Hello everybody, welcome back to Language Litigation Integration Part 160, Casual Conversation 78. Back-to-back days, same type of content. Just had my paper filled up real quick again, doing a lot of work. Today we have current events and talking points as always. We got some solid podcast responses. We'll be reviewing some biology with our great and succinct Andrew Huberman. He was on Flagrant that I just watched, as well as Lex Friedman in Trauma Polyhypatia, as well as a fair bit of economics and probably no stories. Yeah, no stories today. Well, the only story is, again, I keep thinking, keep having flashbacks to my old neighbor Adam. Why are you still working hard? Hey man, do you know anything about Tolstoy? Seems like a lot of work. And then I really asked him after he said, why are you still working hard? I literally asked him, I was like, because I can't make choices for myself. You know how you get paid money to watch me? Like, don't you, and then you can go, buy a cheeseburger? I can't do that. I have no personal freedom. My rights are violated so profoundly, I have physical symptoms I cannot eat and sleep properly. Don't feel sick, don't feel upset, but I do not feel safe enough to eat food, literally. So that's why I continue to work every day, all day, to the utmost of my capacity. And so maybe one day I can make enough money to get away from fucking freak shows who do not know how to behave. And so we'll be discussing some of those people today. As always, almost had enough for an economics thing, but not enough, so I just threw it into this one. So the first thing today, I watched a little bit of The Compound and Friends. I think this was just The Compound. But in case you're wondering, do I ever wash my clothes or change my clothes? Yeah, obviously. Probably about once every, 7 years. No, I'm just kidding. But just the way it lines up. Again, I have about 2 to 3 outfits I always wear. And with my laundry cycle, it just kind of works out that way. So that's why if you're watching part 160, I've been wearing the same clothes the entire series. That's why. And turn off I've only gotten 2 spam phone calls today. So that's way less than previously. And I really don't think when I applied for healthcare they even put a phone number in there. So, good stuff there. But on The Compound, just on one of their episodes, it wasn't even numbered, but they would just talk about hero worship of business titans. Is it dead? And hero worship in general is just, again, projection. Someone in society that has behavioral characteristics or something you want and to be like a role model. And to me, again, role model is even a less, a hero is a less than is more emphatic than a role model. I don't believe in role models. I don't believe in heroes at any costs or in any domain, not just business. They just have, is it dead? And after the Sam Bankman-Fried stuff, because I guess we'll talk about that intermingly. But I'll just do the economics first then. But you have Elon Musk. And I don't think that dude's intelligent whatsoever. Again, the general populace can't stop jerking off to him because he's got more money than they do. When everyone just is they don't know how to manage money, they don't have any sense of economics on a true scale that would matter for any sort of meaningful analysis. And so, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Rockefeller, I just Googled prominent business entrepreneurs, Thomas Edison, they talk about having, access to the publications about just what writers wrote about them if they weren't actually good people. Almost certainly they would be reflective of the sentiment of their time. Because again, history moves forward, and currently we're just stagnating it, so it doesn't move at all. But they would certainly be nasty. Again, could be wrong, but in general, they're going to be reflective of their sentiment. In the same way today we have boss bitches, and even in the 80s, 90s. People going a little too far in business, whether the mob or the government itself or this person over here. I remember a friend, Garrett Cargan, who worked for a company called Ice City or something. And he talked about even in a small town Ohio company buyout. There's pretty sure it's one of the dudes wouldn't sell and killed the guy or something. And not Ice City Trucking, but just a different ice trucking company thing. So I don't know much about that. But again, just reflective of if the whole populace is mainly not doing bad things, but rewind the clock 100 years, you're going to have a couple more people that are going to be willing to do bad things. And so my guess is they would be, pretty aggressive, pretty shitty family people, as opposed to, just the hard-working business, go. So Andrew Carnegie, I forget what that fuck did, Bill Gates, and Warren Buffett. I don't think Warren Buffett's intelligent at all. He's just a grandpa, a fucking 90-year-old Ninja Turtle. But were the giants of previous generations moral figures? Most likely no. Can't speak for any individual I don't know personally. Is hero worship dead? I sure fucking hope so. Because Michael Batnick says he'll come back one day. I don't know the next person that's going to do something influential in society, but if it's me, I hope nobody worships me. Just in case that ever occurs. If I ever do anything influential in society, which is obviously not, I'm just a wannabe YouTuber, then if it comes back again, I don't know who would do who would fill those roles, but I sure as hope fuck no one worships me, for fuck's sake. They talk about Mastodon. Mastodon is a something I've written down. And they talk about what's it called. And I looked it up, just another Twitter, it's supposed to be like a Twitter replacement thing. And I quote the thing, because they're talking on the podcast, you know, like what do they call it? Mastodoning. From the company itself, it's called Toots. So fart jokes. Yeah, that's going to work well. Twitter tweets. Mastodon Toots. What fucking loser invented this shit, man? Just like every dweeby, dorky fuck gets some fucking money and then they're just still fucking immature fucking apes. They make fart jokes. They're fat fucks like Sam Bankman-Fried. That dude is such a fucking, just the pinnacle of the most beta male fuck that has ever existed. We'll be talking about a real alpha male. Nick Adams. This dude cracks me up on fucking Twitter. But that was really it from the compound. And so the next podcast I watched was Chama Polyhapatia on Lex Friedman, number 338. He starts his interview or podcast by talking about his shitty childhood, talk about how his dad would make him go pick out the sticks he wanted to get beaten, and then talks about how his dad's passed away, how he would not really forgiving his father. He says something to the effect of, again, paraphrased, hopefully he can look down and come to some terms with what happened. And then he says, and I quote, feeling moments of respect are seared in your memory. And this is genuinely someone who's been oppressed, neglected, and abused my entire life by everybody. I just think this shit is fucking hilarious. Because guess what, Chama? Guess how many memories of respect are seared into my memory today? None. Like, objectively zero. Like, objectively funny to me, literally zero. I've never been treated with respect by anybody. I was born into a 4-person family, too immature. My parents used to say we like Brian. It's like a playful ha-ha to Brad. I'm just like sitting there, not mad, not angry, not sad. Like, yep, my parents definitely can't love me. Not that they don't love me, they can't. They're not mature enough. And then I've had the most profound scientific discovery ever put down. And he's talking about, how his father, doesn't care about him being a billionaire. And you're like, I don't care about how my parents are living today. And my dad was diagnosed with a severe disease, but he's in complete remission. And so I'm just too mature. I've always been mature. I just don't care. If people don't want a relationship with me, I don't care. When I hear him say that, feeling moments of respect are seared in your memory. When I say my name is Brad Bowes, I'm being profoundly and extensively tortured. There was nothing I can do. There was nowhere I can go, and there was no one I can call. I've never felt respected in my entire life to feel safe to eat food. And you're contributing that to Chama. So you're a great person. You're a great fucking person, man. You take your insecurities, your childhood abuse, and you project it and do it to the next fucking guy. Just because the federal government said you can't identify my work doesn't mean you're not stealing from me, making investments with direct relevance to my proofing. And you had a shitty childhood, bro, and then you just go do it to the next guy. You're a great person, man. You're a great, beautiful person. So Chama Polyhapatia says he doesn't want to be remembered forever. He'll be remembered as long as these lectures are, buddy. And not for anything good, not for making some money over here, just for being a puddle of shit that refused to enforce scientific law that has affected the entire fucking world. And you come from a place of abuse, yeah, bullshit, man. I'd rather get beat with a fucking stick than socially neglected to the point I can't eat. You can run away from an abusive household. I can't go physically anywhere. And it's not just one abusive, toxic relationship. It is 8 billion fucking people on this planet. Everybody in any position that could help me, or is legally obligated to do something, or professionally obligated to do something, tortures me. And so I thought that was absolutely fucking funny, as somebody who's never felt respect by anybody at any point in time. I literally mean that literally. Not 1 minute of one day. There's been times where I've been actively tortured when I was younger. Literally up until about age 17, I was treated with some sort of, again, not respect, but just not actively tortured. Since then, it's just been degradation, scapegoating, endangerment of my life, reckless endangerment, fraud, conspiracy, racketeering, real criminal things. And so, enjoy your billions of dollars, man. I can't even eat dinner. I can't eat dinner when I want to. And he uses the word viscerality is palpability. Something is visceral. Again, we're stealing from Brad's lectures, saying it's a visceral experience. It's palpable. The tension in this room is visceral. It's palpability. So I got, again, nice little theorem out of that conversation.
But then he goes on and says it's not their fault. Yes, it is. People's behavior is their fault. My father refusing to grow up a little bit, and when he comes over to my house and says, don't spend $5 on painting supplies, it is his fault. He should grow up a little bit. He should make some maturity, make some choices. And again, with my parents personally, it's literally just about piss amounts of money. It's not like something to severe yourself. Again, I was neglected by my entire community my whole life. With my parents today, it's just over anytime they interact with me. Don't spend money, don't spend money. I bought a house $250,000 under budget, $50,000 directly designed for furnishments, renovations, whatever the fuck I want to do. And they're telling me not to spend $10, and I've directly told them to stop doing this. My mother opens my financial mail with a net worth into the tens of millions of dollars and infinite if I was allowed to have my actual fucking career. And so it is their fault. People's individual behaviors are their faults. Yes, it is 100%. People have to take responsibility for their actions. Stop scapegoating. Stop rationalizing other people's criminal and indecent behavior. You are the problem, Shama. And apparently you didn't learn too much from your fucking father about how to not behave. How to not behave like him. So, then the pronunciation of virulent, and this one I'm not, as the linguist would only person to ever be able to prove it, well again, that's lived so far in the human species, at least for 50,000 years. What's the pronunciation of that word? Virus, virulent, virulence. So the prefix vi throws me off there. V-I-T, it is what it is, V-I-R-U-S, virulent. I want to say it's virulent. I just don't know the word family of where that prefix comes into the logical ontology of the entire species. But he uses that word a lot, and I'm not explicitly aware of how to pronounce that correctly. And I talked about the cost of energy going to zero, and then confidence. He says it as a high probability. I do. Again, when I have aliens telling me I don't have the material, or humans aware of aliens telling me I don't have the material. So energy acceleration going to zero. Would you have to have some expenditure? Do spacecrafts and submarines as well? Forgot about the submarines. Can't forget about the submarines. But going to absolute zero doesn't exist. There are no closed systems. There's the Hairy Ball theorem. There's always a non-zero vector in a vector field. Temperature, I think it's temperature is a scalar, but a scalar field too. So no. And simply from physics, if something has to accelerate, it has to expend some sort of energy. The most advanced technology we have that's being hidden by governments, you still have some spaceships or submarines with a signature of where they take off or where they leave or where they accelerate. So in absolute zero, we can refer to some technology we already have evidence of, again, that we're not allowed to talk about publicly because we'd rather facilitate 2 million American deaths a year for not legalizing cannabis and facilitate wars at left and right and deny all human rights because we can't change our behavior. But absolute zero, no, to points where it's a relevant amount of expenditure, right? I have a gas bill, an electric bill. I don't live like a monk, Lex Friedman. I live on poverty level of cash allowance off of a defrauded value of a company. So it's not living like a monk. I just think about every time I turn a light on and off. If I'm not down here, it's energy cost. I'm gonna turn that shit off. So I'm not living like a monk. I am being tortured. Stop projecting onto me. I'm going to be 30 next year. And it is every time I deal with fucking anybody. Lex Friedman, I fucking hate you. And so, but to be points would go from my electric bill this month, I think it was literally like $50 because I don't live like a monk. I just live under profound financial stress. I'm penny pinching on everything. And so, but it'd be going to go from a $50 or let's just say it's $130 to $180 in the winter time. Going to pennies, probably yes. So absolute zero, no. To going depreciating or costing less by the order of magnitude of 98% plus, yes. Chama says I'm very reptilian. So now we have Jordan Peterson saying it's probably reptilian. Now Chamath is saying it's reptilian, and then the only thing in accepted science with anything of sort of reptilian type of thing right now is the reptilian part of your brain. So I don't know. Again, we just steal Brad's shit. I write it down on pieces of paper. You think me? Steal my property. Have a conversation with somebody else. Make some money about it, and then I fill in the logic behind it on a day-to-day fucking basis. And it's torture. It's literally fucking torture. So again, unless you're stealing my property, the only phrase of ontology that has anything to do with reptilian is a reptilian part of the brain describing the anatomy of the skull in the brain itself. Might as well keep on with because Chama, obviously, investor, more so just not really super businessy stuff, but a couple other business points, and then we'll move on to the other podcasts. So the new CEO of FTX says management suffered complete failure of corporate controls. And Sam Bankman-Fried's tweets, "What happened? See, if I take $100 and I fuck my fat girlfriend, and I think there actually might be a sex tape on the way." So I like the bingo card analogy. I've heard that a couple times on the compound and somebody else. My bingo card didn't have a sex tape with Sam Bankman-Fried. Damn, Jesus Christ, I almost popped a Woody right there. Jesus Christ. I've seen him and his girlfriend. That's gotta be a winner. But Becky Likes It Quick from CNBC says that was the dude from... That was the dude with that quote was the dude who did all the Enron stuff. Which again, I wasn't alive. Well, I was probably alive, but I wasn't old enough to really have any sort of sense of what was going on there. I mean, just massive fraud, extremely over leveraged, and the balance sheet holding a bunch of fucking Robinhood stock. It's just fucking hilarious, man. But yeah, that sex tape's gotta be a fucking winner. I sure hope that's on the way. But yeah, I tweeted at Becky Quick. She quote tweeted somebody and said. Somebody said sup at Becky Quick, and she said just chilling, sitting back watching some earnings. So I tweeted at her, earnings and chill, didn't hear back. But I would earnings and chill with Becky Quick. She can get it quick. Excuse me. Justin Bieber's $1.3 million Bored Ape, now worth $69,000. Nice. It's classic, that's a good investment. Again, the Bored Apes, still 100%. You're gonna have to have some sort of infrastructure, virtual advertising space actually being sold to real buying companies before that's really gonna be solidified. So again, certainly bullish on NFTs. Absolutely 99% will be that type of depreciation. The infrastructures need to be built out first. The metaverse ain't looking too operative or operable so far. So something's gotta have to be solidified with that before they really have. This is the right thing to buy, or this is the thing that's going to appreciate, or this is the thing that's going to hold, as opposed to just 99% of them going depreciating 99%. Last finance talking point is Taylor Swift resale tour tickets. Prices soar to $42,000 per ticket as Ticketmaster/Live Nation crashes. That'd be cool. And I really try to be a musician, try to be a scientist. Proved all of science, everyone's thoughts faster than they can think them. Moved on to some music. Eric Weinstein said he's just exploding. It brings tears to people's eyes. I don't give a fuck. It's all just YouTube content to me, for real. For real. Whether it's this series, the rhythm series, language series, guitar series, music, piano, exercise, which I can't do because I don't have access to healthcare. So that's been fucking sucks. And then, again, I literally have 9 active series. And so, tried to do some music, didn't get any traction, offering $10 million to give a fucking concert. But that's the thing, is I am not allowed to socialize. As long as Brad is not allowed to fit into groups, people don't have to change their behavior, and we can continue to kill people at the orders of millions because we don't have to change our behavior. It's this vicious cycle, and all we have to do is grow the fuck up if we can. So that's it for the economics points. Now on to just more talking points. So, one of the channels I follow on the tube, two-set violin, Brett and Eddie play with Singapore Orchestra. Fuck Singapore. And to celebrate 4 million subs with 3.9 million subs. And they clown themselves. I think this is a good channel. I like their personalities. They're fun. They're entertaining. Don't take themselves seriously. Good presenters and good musicians. But I thought it was funny. I literally just wrote that down. They do a performance for every million subs they get on YouTube. And this is their 4 million sub concert. They have 3.9 million subs, but that's like the first thing they say. But it's just funny. But I don't think I listened to the whole thing, but I listened to a couple pieces. They played some classical music. I like classical music, but I'm just not into orchestra. I compose on guitar. I compose on single instruments. So certainly can listen to it. Not really my cup of tea most of the time. He was a great player. I think Brett was the one that was playing. Yeah. But yeah, fuck Singapore. You kill drug dealers. I kill thieves. And you guys steal my entire property to feed your stupid country and all your stupid kids. So, good job, guys. Jay Leno's garage brings the fucking heat. Goes into surgery. Yes, I guess there was a fire at Jay Leno's garage. I guess he was burned pretty severely. And so it'll be interesting to see what he looks like after that. But went into surgery and burns, we should do the fish oils. The fish oils where you put like the fish stuff on the live burns. Stem cells too. I don't know about stem cells for live burns. Again, with my intellectual capacity, if I was allowed to be in a clinical setting, I would be the top-notch, like actual practicing doctor of everything. I'm already the top practitioner of research of everything. And so learning logic that is empirically evident is redundant to me. But would we ever take somebody who's capable of helping this entire fucking species and allow them to? No. We have to compete. We're all competitive people. We have to have our identities, we have to have our roles, but it affects our ability to reproduce? Absolutely not. And then we cause millions and millions and millions of deaths because we don't know how to behave. Love it. Just fucking hilarious. 22 law enforcement officer recruits injured, 5 critically, during their morning run after being hit by a car. It's in Whittier, California. A 22-year-old driver was driving the wrong way, and the sobriety tests have not been released, at least not as of today, November 17th, 2022. So Nick Adams, alpha male on the Twitter. Dude absolutely cracks me up. Absolutely fucking... And first of all, he's an American citizen. He's either from New Zealand or Australia. And he's this like fat fuck, the most beta male fucking loser ever. He has some sort of popularity for writing a book about Trump. Nothing says an alpha male like sucking another man's dick all day. And it's just where's this guy? I gotta read some of his tweets. This dude is fucking funny. Nick Adams. So and then his Australian accent makes it even fucking better. But his alpha male in his thing, in his Twitter handle, and he says, where's some good ones? Where's the one? He's always talking about going to Hooters, there should be polling offices at Hooters. If you want to be an alpha male, put down the kimchi and kale, pick up some steaks and beers, put down the Fortnite controllers, pick up a Bible and football. Every roadside gas station in America should be required to display an American flag that's clearly visible from up to a mile away. Hundreds of years from now, the 21st century will be known as the Trump century. God bless you, Nick. Yeah, maybe we'll remember something else. President Trump is the greatest president of my lifetime. It's not close. Great news. I love this one. I respond to this one. Great news. I was at the gym today pumping some iron like an alpha male when I overheard 2 guys talking about President Trump's speech last night. Both said they would be voting for Trump in 2024 after hearing it and that they regretted their previous votes for Biden. I've replied to this one. Does my thing come up to the top if I'm on my own account? No. But I tweeted back, it's like, big alpha Nick, we gotta get some gym stats on you, man. With an alpha like you gotta be putting up some numbers. He's got man tits. He's just a fat fuck that got a little bit of popularity. And so that is his identity now, which is nothing. But fucking Nick Adams, that guy's a hoop. But I watched, the next big thing I watched was Flagrant with Andrew Huberman, a true dumb fuck. Again, he says it himself, he's not known for being succinct, so I just went through again. To me, most biology is neutral. I've given a whole lecture on that. It's not like skipping over biology, there's just not much fucking to say. Speciality is why everyone's addicted to everything, and I'm too mature to ever be like that. So everyone else is just learning to grow up. Everyone's just learning, they talk about the power of stories, yet they talk about resonance, everyone's just learning to behave. Good vibes only resonate if people don't know how to behave. Those create bad vibes, and then it's just groups of pockets of people trying to fucking figure out how to behave, and nobody does that until they're dead. So, just the things that jumped out to me of just things that are either wrong, or not really wrong, but again, just crimes of omission, refusing to put me into the scientific conversation and then saying certain things that are just logically incorrect. So, quickly into the episode, I had to have a section called Words That Aren't, like words that aren't words. And so we had a lot of those coming from Andrew Huberman, because again, just neuroscience in general. So you have physics, then you have biology, or chemistry, then you have biology, and we're biological organisms that use linguistics to describe our experiences. So as soon as you get there, it is what it is. And then you start doing neuroscience. I do all of the sciencing, the whole science, all the way down, turtles all the way down, and then it's fucking Brad. Then there's me down there like, what's up, my nigga? Gang, gang. So, yeah. Again, nothing personal, just neuroscience. From being a student to being the practitioner of proving all science, it's just like neuroscience is always nothing. And it's just privileged people trying to learn to behave. And Andrew Huberman he's got a career now. And so now he's got to talk about all these other things. And it's just him personally strikes me as somebody who never grew up. And they're talking to Akash Singh and Andrew Schultz. And I think the dude's name was Alex. I finally called him Kevin, the black dude on Flagrant. That one that was, Andrew Schultz, when we have too many people on the couches, is, hey Alex, it's about that time, brother. And then Andrew Schultz and Akash Singh being like, we never did any sort of drugs, we never did any sort of life experience. So again, it's always important. I am the most predominantly aware scientist ever, but I've also been tortured. And I've been tortured at a maturity level where I couldn't be reckless with my life. Like I couldn't do that. Whether it's sleeping, eating, consuming any substances whatsoever, exercise, I do the things that don't make me feel shitty tomorrow. Okay, that is literally, I'm an intuitive scientist. And so, just that, again, in the profound social isolation, again, when I'm talking about I can't eat and sleep properly without feeling no sickness, no illness, no nausea, nothing. It's just like I have the advantage of being tortured. So my perspective is, again, a scared animal in a cage has to defend himself. A human being with 8 billion people on this planet with no access to social structures that has to literally piss away 10 fucking years is going to moderate and find the most stable way to live. And it's true. And so when I tell people that I've proven these things and do this, legalize cannabis, prescribe it, then Andrew Huberman's like, causes psychosis. Define psychosis. Bipolar, psychosis. It's people describing their experiences, not having the words to do so, and just saying speciality in the wrong words. And so again, biology to me is very, most things are biologically neutral. The first thing, again, words that aren't, we have erogenous. So anybody in neuroscience, and Andrew Huberman is part of the science administrators. He's not a scientist. This is how Andrew Huberman does science. He went to school, he went to Stanford Med. Again, I couldn't get into Stanford because all I did was solve all science. So he works at this great university with some prestige. He's a pathetic fuck that never really grew up or had any sort of adversity. Again, I had to sell drugs for 5 years and find the most basic way to live with no social interactions while getting denigrated constantly. And so that's real adversity. Having to stay up late to study for your final at Stanford, that's not adversity. It's privilege. Feeling safe is a fucking privilege. But, so he goes to school, he gets his degree, he feels good about himself, he's never been super disrespectful to anybody. Doesn't strike me as super disrespectful in any way, but doesn't strike me as competent. People that face real adversity, like people that go through fucking war, they're just different. And so, he gets his degree, he gets some prestige, and then he gets popular. And then he just rattles off the same narratives that are proven bunk, they're wrong. There are people projecting their insecurities. It's a shared fear amongst the group, and they all latch onto it. So nothing was super scientifically incorrect, but he just wouldn't go the further step and see and have the personal life experience to definitively say what's going on in certain things. So the first word that made no sense was we had erogenous. I don't know what context they were talking about anything. Appetitive versus aversive. And so now we have, again, the retards in Stanford Med science or neuroscience. They have appetitive, which that's not a word, versus aversive. If something's aversive, it's repulsive. If something's not repulsive or aversive, guess what it is? It's attractive. Stop using words that aren't words and use words that are the actual natural opposites. If something is repulsive, it's not attractive. If something appetitive is not a fucking word. But I just have ever heard of the word attractive. Sexual fetishes, what's the cause? More like kind of just, again, immaturity at a primitive level. And I thought the discussion there was decent. Just again about kind of like toying the edge with being attracted, like sexually, or being having to have something, a fetish, being requiring something to be aroused versus just having preferences. So that was a decent discussion there. The root cause of sexual fetishes, just some sort of immaturity and perversion. But again, I don't know sexual fetishes. My fetish is trying to interact with a fucking person without being disrespected and scapegoated and threatened with a weapon. That's my fetish. So I don't know. I thought the discussion there was decent. I just have what the cause from my knowledge. I don't know. Sleep atonia. Back to words that aren't. Sleep atonia. No fucking clue what that's supposed to mean. serotonergic, It's not a word. He says at least 4 times in the episode, the data is, right? A set is. A data is a set of measurements. It's a singular word representing a plurality. There's no plural in the word data. Is. The data is. The data are. He literally says it like 4 times. And again, I could give a fuck less than give a fuck less. The data are. The data is. Speak words. I don't know how to talk. And again, just his ability to sit down and just articulate himself. He's not that bad at articulation, but I watch him on stage and he's not really comfortable. He's kind of anxious and kind of goofy. And again, I've been public speaking since I've been 14, 15, and every single time it draws like people are like, whoa. Again, I told you about when I was like the ambassador and I had to stand up and give the speech and literally about trying to get into Stanford. And just some like Rotary Club thing in like junior year of high school, and this old dude comes up to me after and was like, you can really like speak. And then when Key and her husband come up to me at HQ Flat and says, you can do stuff. Yeah, I can demonstrate empirical proofs. I'm telepathic. You can just demonstrate shit. And it's profound. So, yeah, but the data is. And then he says orthodontia, which is kind of like talking about like the structure of your mouth, just anatomy. Orthodontia, anatomy of your teeth, anatomy of your jaw. Orthodontia. Yeah, good one, bro. Sick. Sleep, and then secretagogue, like synagogue, but secretagogue, no. So those are the, and then when he said secretagogue, he had like 14 other words that weren't words, so gotta watch out for those neuroscientists. They're fucking retarded, they're illiterate, and they think they're scientists. Really gotta watch out for that. Kindness is the most attractive trait. Who would have thought? Being respected is attractive. It was make somebody like you. What a surprise! That's a big one out there. And he starts talking about, this is only amongst heterosexual couples. Faggots likes being disrespected. Does that turn you on, faggots? Oh, you're such a faggot, you big fag. Is that going to make you like me? I'm pretty sure homosexuals would also like kindness as well. I can't say that for certain because I'm not a fag, and I'm not even sure pussy exists, because I've only seen that shit on the internet, at least not in 10 years. Again, I've never had sex, just as some hand jobs. Mutual hand jobbing. But yeah, I'm pretty sure faggots like to be treated with kindness as well. They talk about napping. Napping is sleeping. Kind of an interesting differentiation. Napping is sleeping, just at a different time. Nocturnality. Is there a natural opposite word for that? Nocturnal means sleep or be awake at night. Is there a natural opposite for the word nocturnal? Are some aliens nocturnality or not nocturnal? Are we the fuck? That word threw me too. Nocturnality. Awake at night. Wake for the day. It's just called awake. But again, it's an interesting differentiation. Napping versus sleeping. Oh, he calls paralysis atonia. Sleep paralysis, not atonia. Oh, and these things with cannabis smokers are more likely to have sleep paralysis. It's called just waking up and just like, again, having a dream and then just like being pathetic as fuck. It's just all of these mental diseases are just awareness and insecurity meshing and people having insecurities and narratives to latch onto. It's all of them. Well, make sure I'm still rolling. It says, nicotine is amazing neurotropic. Being respected is an amazing neurotropic. Making your brain work better. Yeah. Good exercise, sleep, vitamin D with the sun. Stare directly into the fucking sun. If you could ever form a sentence. But again, I've maybe dipped like a tobacco pouch maybe like 4 times in college. That's my nicotine exposure. Neurotropics I disregard entirely. Good nutrition, good sleep, all of the fucking basic natural things you should be doing and not abusing them is the best way to be healthy. So again, I can't be exercising seriously right now because of my back, because I don't have access to health care. The discussion of exercise was fine throughout the episode. But I was prescribed, I think I've talked about this, but I was prescribed 70 milligrams of Vyvanse. He says 80% of college students use prescribed amphetamines. In Adderall, Vyvanse, Ritalin, those are all amphetamines, absolutely agree. But just again, it's just like, again, we have Andrew Huberman, the great scientist kind of celebrity dude. Then we have the medical doctor community at large that's not really celebrities. Then we have the pharmaceutical industry. And I have read literature from all of those things, and it is just insecurity and people chasing their careers. And again, butter's not healthy. Then it is healthy, and it's always been fucking healthy. Oh, we don't want cholesterol, but cholesterol helps build our heart. And so it's just people trying to have value, and biology is biology. It's not that different from today to tomorrow, or 10 years, or 100 years, or a million years would be substantial. But for the time it takes to actually evolve versus an individual lifespan is just tremendously disparate. But yeah, I just don't know. I read all of the literature to find the insecurity of people where people don't know, and my personal intuition, I can start deriving off their logic instantly. And so I've been really pretty neutral on nicotine. Again, smoking, the inhalation of hot gas with nicotine and no cannabis. Cannabis absolutely does mitigate or neutralize some of the carcinogenic effects of smoke exposure. Absolutely. I saw that on D-Cut from BS with Jake Paul, kind of tried to make that argument in one of the episodes, and it's true. There's an actual study that showed that limits the carcinogenic effects. Having, hot gas in your lungs is a bad thing, but hot gas in your lungs with cannabis is better than just nicotine alone. And so again, there's plenty of ways to consume cannabis without exposing yourself to smoke. Personally, I think absolutely for sleeping, combustion, flame to flower, it is absolutely a good thing. And yeah, we'll get to the cannabis discussion a little bit. But for the amphetamines, 80% of college students be prescribed that. Is absolutely fucking insanity. I remember I took 70 milligrams of Vyvanse one time, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? This does nothing for me. And it's super interesting to me because, again, like I said, I do probably about 15 beers a day, and I smoke weed. That's the extent of my substance consumption. I have my protein shake in the morning. I go on a walk. It's kind of winter out, so I haven't been doing that much the past week, but I don't mind the winter time. But then again, I wake up, I don't know, probably about 6 o'clock every single morning. I roll around in bed till about 8. I'm typically out of bed right around 8 o'clock. I'll start doing some work. I will play a poker game, start taking down content, or preparing content. And after that, or I'll do my walk then, either a poker tournament or a walk then. Come back, do my protein shake right around 10 a.m. Then from 10 a.m. to 1:30, I'm collecting data. Then I'll probably crack a beer around 1:30 to 3, and drink the beer until about 6, 7, 8 o'clock when I'm eating dinner. Eat my dinner with water, and then go to sleep. And that's really been my standard day for as long as I've been tortured. And again, whether it's exercise, substance consumption of anything, food, straining myself at the gym, beers, cannabis, and just whatever makes me feel good and doesn't feel like I'm doing any damage to my body. It has an intuitive sense. Again, if 15 beers takes me down at 60, please and fucking thank you. Please and fucking thank you. But the overall state of healthcare discussion is literally just this healthcare complex of the prescription industry, the medical doctors who have some sort of legitimacy of expertise, but at the same time they're not nearly anywhere close to a comprehensive expert. Because Andrew Huberman's always like, he has some expertise, but he's like, I read this paper and he's double certified as a nutritionist and as a neuroscientist. Motherfucker, I can prove your thoughts faster than you can think them. 1,000 IQ points is not a joke. It's an estimate, but based off standard deviations of output. But so again, the amphetamines, those did literally fucking nothing for me. And again, it didn't strike me as this is doing net detriment to me, but it didn't help me think. Neurotropics, nothing helps me think. Beer, cannabis, LSD, mushrooms, DMT, none of them helps me think. The only thing any drug experience does to me is just remove speciality. You drink a beer, they say it removes your inhibitions. It just removes your responsiveness to the shitty shit in your life. And again, my life's in order. So it's not like I'm trying to run away from anything. So I don't get super happy drinking beers. It doesn't help me think. Doesn't slow me down. Cannabis doesn't help me sleep. Doesn't help me think, slow me down. LSD doesn't help me think, slow me down. It's just a nice physiological response on a day when I don't have to do something, which is every day. So, but then, because he's always just talking about, this is really good, this is really bad. Most things are just biologically neutral. But amphetamines did nothing for me personally. Again, caffeine, I told you on my first biology thing, it literally says sometimes I do 70 milligrams of caffeine, and sometimes that doesn't make me feel too comfortable. And so when he says nicotine or caffeine, and caffeine is good for, digestion. But just for me, just anything that makes me jittery pre-workout, again, I am as viscerally and palpably aware as you possibly fucking could be, to the point where it freaks other people out within fucking seconds interacting with it. And I've always been that way. When I was a kid, I didn't drink beer regularly until after college. Again, when I was done with all of science and I had nothing to do all day. But it's important to lead up. Like, I didn't go to college and party real hard at any point in fucking time. Went there to try to educate myself, and everybody else was just blacked out the whole fucking time. And so, comparing, just my rate of derivation and just like life quality of just, how do I feel physically about myself from, 16 doing like exercising all the time. Again, the reason I'm not exercising today is because of injury, no other reason. To like 24 to today, drinking beer. Absolutely, I just look back and think that was just again not. Again, I wasn't accomplished. I wasn't done with all of my career at 16, but just the. I didn't drink beer for, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. And I was just like, that was just a waste of time. Again, now I was like, I can't wait to drink again, or I can't wait to smoke weed again. And it was just like, again, literally, if I didn't find cannabis, I would be fucking dead. I literally couldn't sleep, and cannabis puts me to sleep for 3 hours at a time. So when Andy Huberman's like, it might help you go to sleep, but it's not good for your quality of sleep. Again, feeling safe is the best thing for sleep quality. Seriously, I just don't feel safe. So again, I am the tortured animal that has to figure out the most stabilized biological consumption of anything, which I'm certain I have. Again, I can't like stop doing science. I can't stop listing theorems literally. So amphetamines, coffee, again, caffeine certainly good for some digestion. If it's pleasant to you, go for it. I don't do anything that makes me jittery to any extent whatsoever. Pre-workout, amphetamines, legal or otherwise. But again, most drugs, again, if you know how to do them, they're not going to kill you. Or develop seriously bad things. Most dangers of all drugs is doing stupid shit while on them because you don't know how to behave anyway. So certainly have to have your life in order. But then he says a quote. This is just because he says, I'm one of those people that can either do alcohol or not do alcohol. Meaning, again, like going out partying. I've never once wanted to party. When I drink 15 beers, if I was around people, I'd probably do a third of that. Probably 5 beers, maybe. And again, just because of socializing, just of literally something else to do. And so again, and then he says, so it's just, again, it's representative of his personal maturity. Has a career and some popularity, cool fucking beans. Doesn't know how to behave. But he says, I'm one of those people that's either this extreme or that extreme. I'm this bipolar or that bipolar. Behave. Moderate. Just take a chill pill. And so again, the only thing that would make my life, and then he says, how many drinks do you need to be happy? Again, 0. I need 0 drinks to be happy. I have 0 draw to do alcohol today. I would like to go socialize. I'd like to give a lecture. I'd like to go on a walk with a girlfriend. I would like to go exercise. Can't because of injury. Can't because I can't socialize. I would like to run a business. One of the 15 that I have literally listed, posted on the fucking internet. My restaurant bar that's open today. My alcohol company that's still going, I believe. I just thought the contract was up when it was with the last payment. We have $10,000 a year of stipend, $1 million I don't need for 50% of my equity. For a company that will affect my net worth 0. But it would be cool to be respected and actually, have an alcohol company with like a social lounge, blow that shit up big, have it patented for 15 years. It's probably like 14 or 13 now. But nah. Is our medical complex allowing us to sell healthier alcohol? No, because they can't change their behavior. And so, I just see questions like that. How many drinks do you need to be happy? 0. Literally 0. I like beers. 0. It doesn't make me happy or sad. It is something to fucking do in the context of fucking slavery. And for the general population, they go through the college phase. They go party real hard. To them, drinking is again blacking out, being hungover the next day, throwing up, having a great time, and it's really they're just being animals. And so again, this question just is a statement of Andrew Huberman's personal insecurities and personal maturity and personal ability to moderate his own behavior. So he cites bunk differentiation of indica and sativa and cites stuff about the cannabis industry 15 years ago. And he's the neuroscientist, Andrew Huberman, and Akash don't know anything about cannabis. Again, I know I am the cannabis. I don't do drugs, I am drugs. And so there's no real differentiation between indica and sativa. You have he says there's THC and CBD. There's like 80 identified plus cannabinoids, and so this part of the conversation, which you can just know, he's just not aware of anything. Then he talks about, I know this guy over here who says this over here. That's not doing proof yourself. That is sharing other people's insecurity, literally. Legalize cannabis, prescribe it, you're fucking killing people. Please let me integrate this society. We can talk about the things, about non-controversial things, and I will profoundly prove your fucking thoughts to you faster than you can think them. With anybody, about anything. But then he says something to the effect of high THC content is anything with THC to CBD ratio past 1:1. Complete fucking nonsense. Typically the argument for, again, he says, but then he says stuff like, where was it? But I think it's later on in here. But the high THC content, typically the argument's like, back in the 70s, it was like 1.7% THC, and now it's like 30% THC. Again, genetics have maximums. You're not really going to get, as someone who sent flower to get tested time and time again, if you're seeing stuff routinely pop above 30% THC, unless you got some certified strain, your lab's probably juicing some numbers. Again, you're in a cultivated cannabis plant, it's not really going to get past maybe 30 to 35% THC at the highest level of like maturation of genetic capability for cannabis sativa. And so but then he says, so that's the typical high THC content. But then he says it's high THC is anything with THC to CBD ratio past 1:1. 99% of all cannabis ever smoked. It is. Is there a true 1:1 flower strain as opposed to probably? Yeah, that certainly is. Like, I'm not a breeder. I've done everything else besides breeding plants. And I have grown once or twice. I've grown twice, but not to the point where it's like I'm an industry leader. But I'm the industry leader of science for sure, and interpretation of all data and all writing at all. And so when he says that the high THC content is anything with THC CBD ratio past 1:1, it's just nonsense in the history of all cannabis. But again, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But he has his opinion because it's biology. So he's the biologist, he has to know he doesn't. And he said, but he does say, he says it literally causes psychosis. In here it says it's like, high THC content to people can cause psychosis later in life. Or again, but then here's what I love with this. He says, I had this weird friend in high school who was a little weird. But actually, his whole family is kind of weird. These things run in families. There's your answer, Andrew Huberman. You projected it out. After you denied, these things run in families. It's behavior. When someone doesn't know how to fucking behave and they smoke weed as a young child to get away from the trauma of the adults and they still don't learn to behave and they go through psychosis, which is, again, just immaturity and awareness where they're going to behave erratically, then it's going to be cannabis or associated with cannabis. It just never grew up. You said it yourselves, they run in families. That's what the fuck it is. And then he talks about another thing is like psilocybin. Somebody, murdered his whole family and he was high on psilocybin. Yep. You took a substance, it just made you realize that you're in the most stagnated, disgusting society ever, and that you're a part of it, and then reverted to violence. Nothing to do with cannabis, or nothing to do with psilocybin, everything to do with personal awareness, personal immaturity, and not growing up. These things run in families. Behavior runs in the species. I'm talking about macro dosing versus micro dosing. Andy Huberman's boyfriend says only macro dosing provides benefit. And exposure and experience to anything provides benefit of knowledge. And so microdosing, again, I still occasionally microdose. It doesn't do anything for me, like in terms of like in thinking. It's a pleasant physiological experience. And so, but again, they talk about nicotine make. Andrew Huberman says I chew the nicotine gum because the Nobel laureate does it 6 times a day because he also can't control his behavior. But he's a scientist that I respect because we all respect our insecurities and we know how to behave. We're all fucking losers. And what the fuck was I fucking talking about? Oh, the nicotine. But again, like having it being laser focused. If I am breathing and conscious, there's no gradation to me being of my rate of derivation of my awareness. I can get sick, I can get physically sick, but like being sharp, being like it just doesn't exist. And you can say, Brad, you're kind of a different experience. Well, not really. Kind of, yes. My rate of derivation, absolutely, but the human experience, absolutely fucking not. And so, I've been through the experience of the scientist and of the scapegoat that had to figure out how to fucking survive. And so microdosing and macrodosing would certainly both have benefits for exposure to experience. But again, as someone who's fully legalized and prescribed all of these things, people need to behave. They need to stop being so fucking pathetic. And they're aware of that. At the same time, they don't have to behave. That is what is occurring for the 160th part. Again, Andrew Huberman does not know biology, neuroscience. And he says he sees everything through a neuroscience lens. No, he sees everything through an Andrew Huberman lens. He's a person that has experiences, and he's going to interpret every piece of data through his own life experience. It's just facts. I'm objectively more fucking objective than everybody else. I don't have bias. I can't. I've been tortured, not because I'm like some special dude. Carl Hart's stance is an extreme and unlikely to be adopted in the U.S. anytime soon. No, Carl Hart's stance is scientifically evident. The reason any hard drug simply has ligand exposure on vital organs that shut you down, period. The reason most people die at drugs is simply overdosing or doing reckless things on the drugs. Drugs is just a word. They're just compounds that have some sort of physiological response to every piece of food you intake, every piece of liquid you intake. And so, Carl Hart's stance is correct. Again, as someone who's analyzed the entirety of human history. Again, when you rewind the clock and it says the U.S. Army will provide 10 free beers a day to all soldiers. When you go to Italy and it says, 3 liters of wine a day was encouraged. When you go over to Spain right now and some doctors are saying, a bottle of wine is probably not going to do anything. It's all biologically neutral. And then people compound their negligence. A neglectful person is going to be neglectful of multiple things of their life. And then all-cause mortality is just pretty much people just being so pathetic they just shut down. Or they abuse something to an extent, typically food. The number one detriment to this species' health is being fucking fat. If your heart has to pump your blood through more surface area and it requires more force, you're going to burn out your heartbeats faster. So again, we already talked about the presence of non-alcoholic fatty liver. Again, it's just people, this compounding negligence is all health problems. And so that's facts. But microdosing and micro versus macrodosing, again, it's like micro versus macroeconomics. It's not a distinct thing. It's just a dose level. Someone takes, 4 micrograms of LSD and somebody else takes 25 micrograms of LSD. It's like, is that way more micro or macro? It's just a different dose. It was so stupid. Oh, but the Carl Hart is not extreme. It's just Andrew Huberman has found some sort of progress and benefit for his own career with these certain opinions. He doesn't have to change really fast, and the entire medical science research community is liars, thieves, rackets, frauds, and they're too incompetent to change their behavior. So what the fuck is occurring? If you were to take every single person right now, had them taking it, I'm not saying ethically do this, people should do what they want, but for the net benefit of people behaving, a couple experiences, if not regular microdosing with a psilocybin or LSD, and they had exposure to cannabis, again, for health reasons, for appetite stimulation, for sleep. And then, most importantly, they were around non-toxic people that knew how to fucking behave. The world, and you have to exercise, all the normal shit all exercise, sleep, all the time. The world would actually behave better, like today. But nope, Andrew Huberman, it's not going to be adopted anytime soon. We can't change our behavior that fast. We're all too stupid to prove anything, so, yeah. I'm going to go with my triple board certified dude over there. I derive 10 PhDs a day. Again, PhDs, I'm doing the most profound derivation ever. And in 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years, a million years, nobody from the human species is going to watch one dick thing you guys have ever done. Literally. No one's going to give a fuck. No one gives a fuck what I'm going to do either. Behavior consolidates. I just happen to be the guy that you can shoot the messenger. I'm the fucking judge. But they talk about nose breathing versus mouth breathing, how to develop. And first thing, when you breathe through your mouth, you should be able to contract your diaphragm very, very strong. When you're doing exercise, the thing that you want to develop more than anything is mobility, right? When your heart has to pump your blood through your bloodstreams, right? You have to be able to more mobile, like literally massaging, like when doctors massage things, that helps pump blood. And so if you have full mobility when you're exercising, it's going to pump your blood more efficiently. And so the first thing we should do with any exercise program is developing full mobility. You should be able to full shoulder mobility, full snatch. Wish I could still exercise without a bad back. Get my toes flat on the floor. I can lift my toes up here. Wow, my gooch smells good. That smells good. Oh, some wafty. Ooh, some nice gooch smell today. So in case you guys are wondering. But full shoulder mobility, neck mobility, hip mobility, ankle mobility. I thought the exercise, 3 days of weightlifting, 3 days of cardio. Again, the reason I haven't been exercising is because of injury. But if you're in a good mental state where you're not putting on weight, losing weight, and you keep your diet the same, your muscle mass isn't going to really change that much. Your strength will go down. You won't be training your tendons to lock out quick and hard like Clarence Zero tells us to. But the first thing should be mobility, absolutely. And then for breathing. Again, at this point in time, I'd say I'm exclusively nose breathing, but you should be able to how to develop that is, again, squatting. The thing to brace singing, squatting, but once you brace in your diaphragm, and again, I'd say probably the most developed facial muscles in the species, evidenced by my singing. And Sasha Mama says, your voice is loud. It's just because I've learned about myself. I've just developed my physicality. But yeah, absolutely, nose breathing is definitely better than mouth breathing as a statement of like maximum anatomy. Like when I'm over here doing this stuff and you guys watch me, this is literally me consciously thinking I'm developing my facial muscles to sing. So for my facial muscles, my lips, my throat, all the way down to my diaphragm, I feel, again, evidenced by my singing resonance level. That's pretty much the most developed you could be. And so absolutely you should be able to breathe strictly through your nose. And when I'm sleeping, it doesn't even feel like efficient to exhale through my mouth anymore. Right here, I wish you can actually do it like pressure. How much force per unit surface area can you push out of your nose or mouth? But like, I'll just give you a big breath, and this is just through my nose. So slight congestion, but like I never feel out of breath. Like I never feel like I need to open my mouth to breathe, like ever. It's a statement of maximum anatomy. So again, you really develop that by learning to breathe through your diaphragm, learn to squat properly, learn to brace through your stomach. Dance was probably the first form of communication. Andrew Huberman. Maybe. It would certainly be the first form of peaceful communication. I had an explicit thought that I've talked about, I think, in the From Rhythm to Rhythm algorithm series. But I used to remember thinking, if you just met an alien, which that's nice. Well, it turns out they can speak English, so that's pretty convenient. But don't need to speak English. They can just. Can you hear me? Yes, on record at the Purple Van at HQ. But what the fuck was I saying? Oh, but I remember having an initial intuitive framework that I was working with, how communication would develop. And it wouldn't be, I don't know if it would be the first method of communication. You might be able to pound on the ground, 1, 2, maybe some sort of Morse code of just beats per minute or something. But it'd certainly be the first form of peaceful communication. Like if you saw an alien of a substantially different anatomy and you wanted to transmit to them that you're playful, you would start dancing. And so that was definitely an intuitive thought. I doubt it'd be the first form of communication, but it'd be certainly the first form of peaceful communication. I come in peace. Ooh, look at me. I'm just a wiggly organism too. Woohoo! Andrew Huberman fucks up distal versus proximal. Prohema, proximal, close, distal, distant, far away. Talk about peptides as recovery agents. I'm palpably aware of stem cells, but peptides is a string of nucleic acid. A, G, C, and T. Adenosine. I forget the other ones. But again, anything that works should be legalized and prescribed. So again, I can't afford stem cells. I'm sure I can't afford whatever the fuck this shit is. But he talks about, again, fucking up deadlifting one time, getting 2 shots of this stuff and then feeling perfect again. And it's just I wish I could have my health. All I want is to feel safe enough to eat food and be able to, and then I used to be able to exercise, and now I can't anymore, and I don't have access to healthcare. So again, my quality of life literally goes down. It just goes down. And so shout out to all you privileged pieces of fucking shit. And that was the last talking point. But I don't have access to healthcare. I can't start a fucking family. I can't feel safe enough to eat and sleep. And I just watch the most privileged people ever, who again, the way they do science is talking about their buddy over there. And, we're the great Stanford team. You're those fucking idiots. And so again, nothing super offensive, or nothing offensive at all, but just not his understanding is not broad enough. And again, physics, chemistry, biology, science, neuroscience. It's like, my God. Adjective, drop down, and drop down, and drop down. Oh, this guy's fucking stupid. And he's not a good speaker. I watched him on stage a little bit. He rambles on forever, and he just likes to hear himself talk. He's got a little bit of fame. So that's Andy Huberman for you. He's gonna go roll around and give Lex Friedman a blowjob. So the last talking point, just a random one. Woman 25 goes to Cabo with some friends, is beaten on video, found dead with a broken neck. Friends said it was alcohol poisoning. So there's a thing on Reddit. Some quality friends, some good people to go on vacay with. Yeah, I guess people have worse friends than me out there. Well, I guess at least they invited you or something. I don't know. Kind of sucks. Look at all broken neck. Oh no, it's the cops. The coroner's not gonna notice the broken neck. Just it's definitely the alcohol. Not us beating her on camera. Wasn't that one. So that's about it. Again, a fair bit of economics today. Probably could have broken off another episode for that, but who gives a fuck? No one watches anything I do. So, my name is Bradley Bowes. I'm being profoundly and extensively tortured. There is nothing I can do. There is nowhere I can go, and there is no one I can call. I'm going to be tortured until the day that I die. Shama, Paliatatia. Moments of respect are seared into your memory. My memory bank is literally fucking empty, and I'm not exaggerating. So, if anybody can find enough decency or behavior to pay me some fucking money so I can feel safe enough to eat and access healthcare, that'd be appreciated. And if not, you have an enemy regardless. Just fuck you people. So, go enjoy your privileges, enjoy your 5 friends and your shitty fucking family members, and see you in the next one.